Pimp. A butterfly.
You can't start like every video of a song.
So guys, we're starting this new series called Modern Classics. And in it, we're going to be choosing what we consider to be modern classics. So albums post-2000. And we're going to pick ones that aren't yet considered classics. But we're breaking down barriers. We're making the classics.
We're not making the classics.
They wrote and made the albums. We're choosing to say, this motherfucker right here is a motherfucker. And this week we're starting with what we consider to be the best album of 2015, unanimously, To Pimp a Butterfly, Kendrick Lamar. So we're going to get straight into this. We want you guys to get a sense of our musical tastes so you know what our opinions are in context with other opinions when we have them about stuff. To Pimp a Butterfly. Let's get started. James.
Damn, son, that was an intro.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty good, huh?
So, what?
First of all, this was a concept album from Kendrick Lamar.
Yes, it was.
Could you give us a brief little, in sort of like, say, 15 to 20 words, what the concept of the album was?
It was, the... Whoa, now. I'm not going to be having this counting shit going on.
Also, Kit counted it was the as five words.
It was the one.
I felt like I missed a couple of words when I started counting, so I just made
added
up for
numbers.
It. Yeah.
This album is an absolute work of art. It's complete genius.
It is.
It's talking about the African American struggles in American society at the moment, especially in the past couple of years, especially recently, in the last year or so.
Which, as white kids from London, we're very, very in tune with the African American struggle.
Yes.
We understand.
We try.
I am from. That's not how I wanted to say
You come
that.
from Chicago, right?
I mean, yeah, but I'm not going to use that as a... Yeah, I lived in Chicago for like the first 6 months of my life, so I know exactly...
I know police.
I know the
whole months,
struggles.
yeah.
I know the struggles.
I was arrested so many times.
But seriously, this album is absolutely incredible. Like, there's so much to talk about with this album.
Yeah.
The production. When Kendrick Lamar came out with his second album, Good Kid, Mad City, and everyone was hyped for it, and it came out and everyone was like, album of the year. It's amazing. Yeah. I love it. Kendrick Lamar is fucking king right now.
That's when I got on the train.
That's when I got on the train.
I was like, oh, hello. I think because I was listening to radio a lot of the time, and there was always like the odd kind of hip-hop, trap music coming on the radio that I would usually just go, nah, that's kind of shitty pop stuff. But then I would hear like Swimming Pools, and I'd hear like...
Great song.
Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe, and I'd be like, there's something special about this, man. Like, I'm not usually...
I was actually a bit late into it, because I'd heard, like, the singles, like, stuff like Swimming Pools, when it first came out, stuff like that, and some of those things, and I'd heard a lot of his stuff being played around, but I hadn't, like, got into it and actually listened to it yet, until Pimp a Butterfly came out, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is, like, next level amazing. And then I went
going back to
and
that era, right? That era, that time, right? You listen to it, his second album, and you're like, wow, this is amazing. I love it. And you're worried, because you're thinking, like, Kendrick, he's peak at the moment. He's peak. He's on fucking form right here. Possibly, a lot of people said at that time, he was best fucking rapper alive after that fucking one album came out. I mean, obviously, he'd had Section 80 come out first, but I, in particular, was worried, because how are you meant to follow that album? You have to do two things. You have to either do an album which is like it and just better, or you have to just do something completely different. And I was scared, because I was like, wow, is he going to be able to do it? Is he going to be able to pull off? How do you follow up on an album like that? And he came out and he did something completely different. The production on this album is just one solid unit of funk, jazz, experimental ideas, loads of like really chilled out, kind of like even some like piano songs on here, and all kind
It
of
feels like
put
an
together.
amalgamation of like black like music throughout.
Exactly.
throughout history.
Yeah.
Yeah.
throughout history, and it's just something
Wonderful.
which comes across as an absolute complete work of art.
Yeah.
Absolute genius. I thought that this album was incredible. It really did fulfill that coming along, doing something completely different, game-changing and new. And
African American music. Sorry.
When these songs are in like my playlists, they come on and I'm like, oh, here's funky, I like it. And you don't really realise again until you go and listen to the album again, where you're like, I'll be there and I'll be like, Wesley's Theory, oh, this track's funky as hell. And then it goes like, oh, King Kunta, oh, this track's funky as hell. The beat on it, oh, the rhythm is so good. And then Institutionalized, oh, this track's funky as hell. Like, and you just
Every
realise
track.
like every single fucking track is like just so on point rhythmically, and you just like can get into each one so much.
I have like a new like out of this album, a different song goes into like my favorite song off the album like every week or so.
yeah.
Like right
Absolutely.
now, it's How Much a Dollar Cost. That song is just
I get it. I think I've settled on my few favourites, but you do sort of float between a few of them. Like originally, Institutionalized was my favourite.
originally Black of the Berry was my favorite.
Yeah, and then King Kunta. Black of the Berry has settled as my favourite now, I think. Like,
Yeah.
that track is just so good. It's
So
so, on
hype.
point.
So hype,
hype, yeah.
And it follows on from How Much a Dollar Costs and Complexion, which
Complexion?
are basically like really chilled out tracks. And then BAM! Black
Yeah.
of the Berry just hits you in the face.
Most
and
of the
it's
hype
so
on this
good.
album is at the beginning.
It's so good.
Wesley's Theory, King Kunta, stuff like that is normally the more hype stuff. And then it's just like chills out towards the middle. And then Black of the Berry is just like boom, boom, bap.
And
straight
an
into
album
it.
needs to flow like that. It needs to have these ups and these downs, and it needs to come in at the right time, pull away at the right time, and it really just did that every time. It was on point every single time. And it's just so varied throughout the album,
yeah.
while also having this consistent,
consistent
theme.
feel.
There's this poem which is going throughout the entire album, and you don't realise until the end that these little excerpts you've been getting
Yeah,
are
all
a
bits
full
from a poem,
And then there's this whole reference to Tupac and what was going on at
bit
that
at the
time.
end, the bit right at
relating
the end,
now,
the-
the interview with Tupac that
Yes.
he's having.
Yes, that bit where he takes the
It's-
interview answers from Tupac,
Yeah.
and then he puts his own side onto
His
it.
own questions.
So he
and
records
then-
his own questions
yeah.
and his own responses, and even like while Tupac's answering, he puts in like, yeah, yeah. Just stuff like that, and he just makes it. It sounds like he could be there interviewing it. It's so well done.
And just replacing I, the one of the singles
Yes.
that came out first
With
with
the live
the
version.
live version, which
fits the
also
album better.
has this little thing where he's like he goes off topic and he's like, right, I'm just gonna talk to the audience, and I felt as though that might have been the one of the key reasons why he put the live version in, because in that particular live track, he really did kind of talk about everything that's going on in
It
this
worked
album.
with the concept.
I think it fits the sound of the album better. Like one of the things of Good Kid, Mad City that a lot of people always had was when Swimming Pools comes in, it feels so poppy and different to a lot of the rest of the album. And by putting the live version in, I think it was a really interesting decision because it makes it better in the context. It fits. It has the more raw sound that the rest of the album has from production.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
I
it's
still,
weird.
when I listen to it, put the original version in because I just like it better. But as an album, it fits it really well.
It's weird that a live song could work so well in the middle of an album like that.
And you don't like when I first listened to it, I knew it was live, but when I first listened to it, I was like, you can tell that it could have easily been a studio version made to sound live.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, it's just such an incredible feeling that you get throughout this entire album. All
And,
the tracks.
None
are
of us
just
can use
amazing.
the term I've got a bone to pick now without going off on one.
And it's so bad because you will just get
Got a
hyped.
bone to pick.
Just start going into stuff, and then like it's stuff that as a white man you can't say in like
Yeah.
Oh, it's so annoying.
because so much of it is about black pride and being a black man and all this sort of stuff, and you're just like, I just want to sit there and just be like, yeah, just and you just
But
can't.
also, it's reflecting so many different viewpoints in the black community, and it's saying,
Great.
like, for example, the Black of the Berry. I don't think that Kendrick himself is angry in that song. I feel as though he's representing the viewpoint of people that are angry.
yeah.
And there are other songs
Where he's representing different ones.
where he's just putting across like in King Kunta, it's kind of like a more arrogant kind of
pride.
Yeah. In You, where he's in the second half of that track, where he's kind of like
very interesting. I want to talk more about You.
Yeah.
How about you go ahead and do that?
Because You is just, it's one of those tracks that won't be in many playlists. And you're like, if I have some easy listening playlists, I just want a funky boom bap track to come every now and again and hype to. It's not going to be there. But when you're in the mood for it and you like listen to it, it's so powerful because he just has that thing where he's just like screeching, and it's like one of those things where it's experimental stuff done right in the way that like it has a purpose and it doesn't go too far. It doesn't overstay the idea. He doesn't do a whole album of it. It's just that one track of that one idea. And it just works so well. And when you're in the mood for it and you catch it at the right time, it's just perfect.
And for those of you that haven't like listened to that track in particular, the second half of it, it's kind of him like having a nervous breakdown and really rapping in the style. He has this voice of someone that is having a nervous breakdown, and you can hear like him glugging down a bottle of booze and it's powerful. It's powerful. It's so strong.
I want to mention as well these walls. Just for a random thing, at the start of these walls, because a lot of these tracks start with an intro where the beat is totally different to the actual beat, sort of less rhythmic, more sort of, a lot of them, especially like Wesley's Fear and stuff, starts with sort of like radio sounding stuff, like it's made to sound, even if it isn't all sampled, it's made to sound like it's sort of just old school sampled stuff. And in these walls, they have a sound, this sort of whiny, sort of woodwind fluty sort of sound, which, and this might be a really, really odd reference, but it sounds like the sound from the intro of I Feel Like I'm Fixing to Die Rag by Country Joe and the Fish. And it clicks me every time, because I've always thought it was such a weird, interesting sound on that album when it starts with it. Sounds like sort of a weird detuned kazoo or something. Like, and
I like a kazoo.
And I hear it.
Kazoo's gone missing.
Can you detune a kazoo? Could you just like smash it a bit?
Just crack it a bit, yeah. Like I'm sure in Fixing to Die Rag, it was probably just a shitty kazoo. But like it sounds so weird, and I always hear it. And I'm just like, I don't know if I like it. Like as a sound, but I like that it's there because it's weird and cool, and it's just there for a bit, and you're like, that was strange. And then it's like, if these walls could talk, and it gets all like funky and nice.
Now for me,
sorry,
that's okay. This album is an experience to listen to, from start to finish. What I did is I got my phone, put my headphones in, and I walked out my front door and I walked around the city with this album playing from start to finish. And I started when I left my door, and it finished almost exactly as I got back to the door. And I was like, shit, that's an experience. And the Black of the Berry, I haven't felt that hyped since listening to Rage Against the Machine like back in the day. It's just so powerful.
I was watching some interviews yesterday because I went on this weird way, but I got through some actually Killer Mike stuff that there was some interviews of him getting onto Kendrick Lamar because he mentioned Kendrick because Kendrick mentions him in Hood Politics, I think, is on this track, on this album. And I got through just looking at interviews, and there was one of Dre talking about Kendrick when Pimp a Butterfly was first released, and the main thing he said was like, Kendrick got people back into listening to albums and into writing albums like old school music is. And he was like, there was this phase in hip hop, which he was a lot in, where it's like, you put out the biggest single and you just want the big boom bap single that you can just put out there and people will dance in the club and just like, yes, 50 Cent in the club, stuff like that. And the rest of the album doesn't matter as much, it's just other stuff for people who really like it. But then Kendrick came and really did albums again.
Yeah, and that's where like the Games album like loses a few points. Yeah, has no consistency.
Exactly, and that's what we're saying. That's what we said with it. If it was cut down and made into more of a cohesive thing, it would be like a 8, 9 out of 10 awesome thing.
Yeah, because it's just singles. That whole album is like, this is gonna be a hit. This is gonna be a hit. This is gonna be a hit.
Whereas this, like you said, like I'll listen to King Kunta on its own. I'll listen to All Right on its own, and I'm like, this is a brilliant song. But then you listen to it as a whole thing from start to finish, and you're like, they were all perfect songs. They go from being just nice to being amazing.
Definitely. And I'll tell you what, if you're not that much of a fan of hip hop, I really recommend giving this a go.
There was so many of our friends have had like this changing experiences where they've not been into hip hop, but they hear this and like, Kendrick, wow, that's genius.
That's why I think Kendrick is the first rapper to really fit the like new Eminem moniker, because that's what he did when he was there. Like he was the thing. People who weren't into hip hop could listen to him and be like, no, I can see why people like it now, because this guy's so obviously good and so clearly puts it out so nicely. This is like the new.
And to convince you, this is what I was going to say to you earlier today, and I was like, no, I'm not going to tell you because I'll save it for the show.
Episode,
David Bowie said that this album influenced Black Star.
Nice.
I can see that. That's
Can I
cool.
just quote you on something you said earlier? I just want this to be on record. You said Eminem puts out so nicely. Just thought I just want that one on record. But yeah.
Context is important. Context is always important.
So
I like it on its own.
I feel as though you could pick and choose any song from this album and say it's your favourite. But what would you
Anytime.
say are your favourite tracks?
Okay.
It changes daily.
The Black of the Berry, King Kunta, Institutionalized. They are the top 3 for me.
Okay.
I don't know. I love so many of these.
Yeah, I like, and any day I could be like, no, for some reason today, All Right, or Hood Politics, is now my favourite for this day or whatever. But those 3 are the ones that consistently I go back to, and I'm like, no, this is my favourite again,
Okay.
Like Momma, How Much a Dollar Cost, Black of the Berry, Complexion, You Ain't Got a Light. The whole last half of the album is my
The
favourite.
whole album is my favourite part of this album.
For me, I've got quite a lot of favourites. Wesley's Theory, King Kunta, You, All Right, How Much a Dollar Cost, The Black of the Berry, I, and Mortal Man. Basically half the
I
album.
want to very quickly talk about Wesley's Theory as well. When I first heard it, I thought, and I still think the wah on the bass is a bit too much, but I have started to grow into it. Especially, I saw...
It's old school.
I
the
saw-
old school sound.
It's funky.
I saw
It's not funky, it's
Flying
funky.
Lotus,
Funky.
Flying Lotus, who did the beat for that song, playing it live, instrumental, and it was awesome. And I just wanted to mention that he did that beat and that he's awesome, and that you
Yeah.
should also listen to him.
The
If you
production
like-
throughout this entire album.
Yeah.
I want to know, right? I want to know, when you come out with an album like this and you get people to do the beats, how the hell do you make it so consistent?
Yeah.
Did they have
You
like
get people
100
like Flying
different
Lotus,
producers?
dude. And people who are so good that you can give them an idea and they can go with it and do it so well. I just think it's like...
Well, they had a lot of Kamasi Washington. That's how I got into Kamasi Washington, because I heard about he did the sax on this album, and it was sweet.
It was.
Good.
There was a sweet
It's a lot
verse
of
from
that, keeping
Snoop.
a lot of consistent stuff over it. I love Snoop's bits in Institutionalized.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think we have to give this album a rating.
No, I think we've already done it.
Well, I think
we
everyone
have-
already knows that we all think it's 10 out of 10.
It is.
And it was our
straight
number
10.
one song of the year.
Straight 10. All of our modern classics are going to be straight 10s from us, I think.
So this is our first song in our new Modern Classics series. Next
Album.
week,
Album. First the album.
Modern Classics album classics,
Nice.
classic albums. Bringing out another one every week. We're not sure what we're going to do next week, but it'll
Don't
be
say
awesome.
every week, because we might not.
Well, we're
Most
going to
weeks.
try.
We'll give it a
We're gonna
go.
try.
If we can't think of something, we might not. But
so
we'll
many
try.
good albums to choose from post 2000.
That's
There
true,
are,
actually.
there
It's still like, what, 16 years? 15 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Good. There should be enough.
That's way enough. Anyway,
16 years, probably.
what did you think of this album? Did you love it as much as we did? Would you rate it number 1 in the world? 2015? Let us know. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We love you guys. Catch you later.
If you don't put this number 1 in 2015, you are wrong.